This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're going to be talking about, will Zion Williamson win Rookie of the Year? We had no idea what question to pose because Jesus Christ, is this kid insane.
No, I knew what question to pose. You just wouldn't let
We
me.
talked you off the ledge.
No, I'm at the ledge. You didn't talk me anywhere.
Then we will talk about OKC, whether they'll be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. I don't really want to do the Zion topic now. Ricky has ruined Zion Williamson for me. Then we'll talk about our wet boys, guys that absolutely went off in the past week. We'll give them love and credit in that segment. And then we'll wrap it up with some Victor Oladipo talk. He's returning on January 29th. Right now it is the 24th. So in 5 days, the All-Star guard will be returning to the Indiana Pacers. We'll talk about the impact that he will add to that team. But before we do all of that stuff, shout out to the 7 people that are currently in our Twitch chat. We are live right now on twitch.tv/mostvaluablepodcast. You can join the party over there, and also shout out to our patrons. We have a ton of patrons that help support us, that help keep the lights on. We just talked to Sam in our Superfans podcast. We had John on last week as well. We had Bilal on last week. Those guys help support us. They really, truly do support us. So if you want to check us out and help support us like these great people do as well, check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But let's jump into the Zion Williamson talk. Zion Williamson, stupid 37 points in his first 33 minutes. I think there's a little bit more minutes played after that, but that was the stat that I first saw pop up on Twitter because we were doing a live podcast, but we've caught up. We've watched the last couple of minutes of the game as well. Zion finished the game against the Nuggets. They lost 113-106 with 21 minutes, 7 of 9 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, 1 of 4 from the line, 6 boards, no assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Plus 16 on the floor. He was the only starter besides Drew Holiday that was a positive for the Pelicans that game, and he finished with 15 points. But the real story, the massive story coming out of Zion Williamson returning was that Wednesday game where he went 8 of 11, 4 of 4 from 3, 7 boards, 3 assists, and 22 points, scoring 17 straight points for the Pelicans. It looked like a very slow start for Zion Williamson, and then he just came out rattling off 17 straight points. So it was phenomenal and super fun to watch from Zion Williamson. Let's talk first, before we get into Rookie of the Year, before we get into your stupid asinine shit, let's talk about just truly Zion Williamson. What have you seen so far? What is the biggest takeaway that you've gotten from Zion Williamson's first 2 games? What's your feeling?
So it's funny that you asked that because after the first game, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm thinking about us talking about the draft process.
Yeah.
And I remember you and I, Sean, going back and forth on Zion. And one of the things that was your big bugaboo with it was, yeah, he can shoot from the outside, but what's his percentage going to be? Like, how is he going to be knocking down those shots? Like Dave mentioned before we actually started the podcast we were talking about Zion a little bit to our Twitch guys. He said, yeah, they were wide open, but like you said, you still got to knock them down. I think what Zion is doing, I know it's only 1 game and now 2 games because they just finished the one against the Nuggets. He's showing us that, hey, there's a reason why I was the number 1 pick in this draft. Hurt or not, I am the best player from last year's draft.
It's not because of his 3-point shooting.
No, but we know what Zion Williamson is already good at. And our big thing was, yeah, he's a great player, but if he can knock down, my big thing was if he can knock down those shots, that transcends him to an even better player at the NBA. And I know it's only 1 game, but when you're knocking down 4 for 4, being the kind of big guy he is, if he can consistently make shots like that, he's going to be one of the best players in this game.
You're not wrong, but I do want to clarify. They were wide open shots, the 4 that he hit. And also the stroke is still not there. It's not a pretty shot that's going up there.
I agree with King He's out for MVP.
He doesn't seem full. He's not getting a ton of lift off the ground. He's not really putting his full. It's not a true motion. It's more of a jerk shot that's going up. It is falling, and you do need to have confidence in taking those shots. And the biggest thing that I do take away from Zion and watching him, the first 3 quarters, it still felt like he was learning the game. Still felt like he was trying to figure out the flow. And then in the 4th quarter, he was like, I think he just started trusting his basketball instincts. And that's what we saw in that game, that he knows that he is a great basketball player. Is he a great shooter? No. But half of the part of shooting is confidence. Half the part of it is just knowing that it's going in, knowing your shot and knowing that it's going in. It could be a broken shot, but if you have confidence that you can hit it, you can go 4-4 in a game. Like that is truly what it is. Practice and confidence, and that's going to help you get a great shot. He doesn't have great form, and that's for sure. And that's what might lead to him not being a great long-term shooter. But in games, he can go off like this because he has confidence, because he's got the rhythm of his shot. So as long as the motion's being performed the same way over and over again, and you're able to hit that shot, then it's not a bad motion. But traditionally and mechanically, it is not a good shot. And it reflects in his ability or lack of ability to hit free throws. He was a 64% shooter in college. That's the same set shot over and over again. You're shooting from the same distance over and over again. If you have a good motion, you'll be able to hit from an 85 to a 90% range and having confidence as well. I think Zion is not going to be that level of a player yet, or at least right now, because that mechanical part of his game is not there. But what it did show you is that he can be a very impactful player, and if you do leave him open, he has the confidence to knock down those shots. And that's what the biggest takeaway I took from at least these first two games is that he hasn't gotten back into the basketball swing of things, but he is an absolutely electric player, and it's so good to see him back playing basketball. I think that's what we talked about mainly in the draft prospect last year, is just we're excited to see this kid play. I mean, he's just fun to watch, and maybe he will be a LeBron James. I don't want to cap him. Again, you look at him. I don't want to cap this kid
there's
at
nothing
any
to
point
cap
at all.
because we've never seen something like this.
There's worries about the injuries, clearly. He started off his career injured. He's 285 pounds at 6'6".
He's a unique
high
prospect.
There's a high chance that he's going to get injured again. But also, he can be a dominant two-way player.
Yeah.
And we didn't see the defense in the first game. What I've heard in at least the Denver game showed like it was a little bit there as well.
Yeah.
It showed like it came back a little bit. So, Dave, what are your first takeaways from this? Because at least what I'm taking away is I'm not shocked by anything I am seeing. I'm just really fucking glad to see Zion Williamson back playing basketball.
Yeah, no, it was like something was missing from the NBA season, and it was Zion Williamson. The excitement wasn't quite where we had hoped for, and then all of a sudden, just a spark happened, and basketball is all I can think about again, and it's because Zion Williamson just being on the court is electric. He is must-see basketball right now. And it was interesting the way that they started him off in his first game, because he was very team-oriented. He was very smart basketball. Like, he wasn't trying to force anything in his first couple of touches that game. They opened up with him at top of the key going for a pick and roll. He rolled backside, didn't get the pass. They went mid-range dump off, worked out fine. He passed out of a couple situations where literally he touched the ball and 5 players turn and look at him. Like, he has that draw already, and he knows when to pass out of it. But the biggest thing for me was, like you said, it was the explosion of offense. It was literally 2 words: feed me. Yeah. And then all it was downhill. He can't be stopped going to the rim, or at least in the couple games we've seen so far, he is as good as we had hoped for. It wasn't just the fact he was bowling over kids in college who aren't his size. It doesn't matter how big you are in the NBA. When he's coming downhill, good luck to you trying to stop him.
And his first 2 opponents haven't been against slouches either. Like,
you're
the big guys they got is like Nikola Jokic on the Nuggets. I don't know how much one-on-one him and Zion went today, but like when he was on the floor, he had LaMarcus Aldridge on the other side. So it wasn't like he had a slouch of a like no-name player that he was going up against.
And I think, too, they're still trying to figure out how to use Zion.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I did see in the first couple quarters, and this is something that Diamond just said. Can people stop comparing Zion to LeBron? They have very different play styles. It's true. I mean, you look at the way that he was used, Zion was used in the first couple quarters, at least of the Pelicans-Spurs game. You would never see LeBron used as a trailing three-point shooter, a guy that's posting up like a center would to position himself for a lob to then go up near the rim within the 3 feet around the rim. And then also as a guy that is solely setting picks. LeBron's going to have the ball in his hands, bring the ball up a ton. I haven't seen that from Zion. I don't know if that happened a ton in the Denver game. Again, we're recording a podcast, but I do believe that they typically haven't gone away from him setting up in the low post, trying to use his body and trying to use his speed. I also knew that he was doing very well in transition as well, and that was something that he is just so incredible at, is his fluidity, using that 6'6", 285 frame, but also being able to have a layup package of a guard. He has the ability to go up and under, and he has the ability just to finesse and move his body. Yeah, finesse and move his body, like a guard. So he is truly unique. So I don't want to compare him to LeBron, but Ricky, when I think you say LeBron, I think you're just talking about one of the most impactful players in the league. That's what he can be.
And it's exactly like Diamond on the second part of what he said. It's the hype level. It's that I've said it before on a podcast that I feel like Zion, unless he gets injured and has like a career defining injury, he could be on the path to be the next like best player in the NBA. And the thing that I think about is the NBA could be set up to have such an interesting storyline when it comes to best player in the NBA, because right now, like, I feel like Zion could be developing to be in that conversation. Luka's definitely there because how Luka's been playing. And then also, I know this is a bit of a stretch, but this is a guy who's going to be coming into the league and be younger than Zion and Luka. But like when we were playing 2K, watching the semifinal games, we were playing 2K and you're like, oh, Amoni Bates. You're like, he's supposed to be the guy that people are like putting that LeBron crown on already, where if he lives up to that hype, Zion lives up to the hype, Luka Doncic is already living up to that hype. Like, we could be set up for an NBA where we don't have just one best player. It's three guys that are fighting for that crown.
Yeah, and then that just shows that there isn't a best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
I
it's
don't
just
know
how
when the last
loaded the
landscape
talent
this
pool
was.
is. Like, I know in our Discord, we've kind of joked around about, like, we have enough talent. We have more talent than we've ever had in the NBA. And if they did want to go to an expansion, like, every team has the ability to have a star and then a guy who's a rising prospect. Like, we're so loaded.
Yeah, I mean, I just did an expansion draft in 2K19, and the 36th pick, I went all six spots I could. 36th pick was Trae Young. Yeah. So, I mean, you're getting a star at 36. So, I mean, it's absolutely true. I mean, yeah, and Diamond said also, don't forget Giannis. I mean, that's the guy that is going to take over the crown next from LeBron. And I think Giannis, with how young he is, he's definitely a factor into that. Luka, I think, is probably behind him as well. I don't think we could shortchange Jason Tatum as well. He's been fantastic both ways this year, and I think that at some point he's going to take over that team. So I think those three are definitely guys to watch out for. Embiid's a stud. Jokic is a stud. Both of those guys are super young as well. We're not sure what those true guys' ceilings are as well.
So many people under 25 who are already putting up numbers that are comparable to people in their primes.
Zion might be the most interesting player to watch, and he might be the most entertaining player to watch.
So he's definitely got those Blake Griffin, rookie year vibes to when he touches the ball. He's just so aggressive at times. Throw down. Just throw down. I want to see dunk highlights. That's all I want to see out of you.
I just don't know if he'll be the best player. And I'm saying as in, Giannis right now is just stupidly efficient, right? And he's the best player defensively and offensively, and it's truly how the hell are we going to...
he's in the conversation for best player defensively.
Best two-way player. I'm sorry. Best two-way player.
He's the best complete package in the NBA right now.
Two-way player. That's what I meant. Thank you for clearing me. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing right now is you have right now a guy that I think that Zion would need to start matching, because at least play style ways... we see now Giannis extending his game beyond the three-point line, and that's a whole big thing of if he's able to hit that shot consistently, guys are then going to have to start respecting that, and then you're not going to be able to stop Giannis offensively at all.
As soon as you go out to guard him on the line and he puts the ball on the floor, you're fucked.
And that's the biggest thing with Zion, too. Right now, he doesn't have the same amount of possessions bringing the ball up and being a facilitator and having isolation and driving and attacking like Giannis does. But I do think that is where we will start to progress to Zion's game. And I think that, best player is too early is what I'm trying to paint.
Yes.
He's played 2 games.
I don't disagree.
While he will definitely be a guy to watch in that discussion, I think it's way too early to put him in that category just yet, because Giannis won an MVP and he's only 25. Yeah, so let's wait until he's even at Giannis level before we start talking about that.
I'm going to go out on that ledge. I'll make a bold prediction that, yes, he will be in that caliber of player.
No one's calling for it. Like, let's just enjoy it right now. He's played 2 games. I have had more fun watching Zion. Like the 17 straight points was some of the most fun I've had watching Zion since Game 7 of the 2016 Finals. Mm-hmm. Like that is the last time I felt this much joy. Or watching Luka, right?
Yeah.
Like that is where the last time I was taken. Like was watching the final 3 minutes of Game 7 of 2016 with the LeBron block, with the Kyrie shot. That was the last time I've truly enjoyed basketball that much, where it's just like I'm turning my brain off and just watching great basketball.
Yeah.
And Zion, just with his shape out there and his athletic ability and his hype, and him finally living up to it. That stuff of just that stuff is super fun. And while it is possible, I don't know if that's where I want to frame this conversation. And Dave, this is where I'll go to you. Rookie of the year. Your guy's Ja Morant, right? You were obviously picking Zion number 1. You know that Zion's the best player out of this draft class, but you've always been day one, first person out of your mouth. Right after Zion was always Ja Morant in this league.
Yep.
Right now, Ja Morant clearly rookie of the year.
Yes.
The question is, in the next 60-something games or 50-something games or 40-something games.
We're
right?
below 40.
Yeah, it's 44 or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do math.
We're at game 45, I think, on the year right now. So
in the next
43,
40-something games.
I can't count. 82 games total. Somewhere math is involved here, people.
45 to 38 games left in the NBA season.
Someone in chat help us.
Can
please.
Zion Williamson win Rookie of the Year? I'll do the math.
This pains me to say.
Don't say will he, but do you think he can?
He can. And it pains me to say because I feel like playing a whole season means something, and Ja Morant's missed a couple games due to injuries. But, like, outside of that, like, he's been here. He's going to continue to be here.
36 more games.
Thank Jesus Christ, we were way off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, can Zion do it in that short of a span? If he's this electric every night, it's hard to say no because he's shooting at a historic percentage coming out the gates. And will that sustain? Who knows? Probably not. If it does, I can't even argue with that. Of course. Mm-hmm. Of course the guy who's playing 20 minutes a night and scoring 20 points a game, how are you going to say no to that? Incredible advanced stats, everything across the board you want to see out of a player, and he is must-see TV. He, like you said, that joy that he brings to you is special. That's Rookie of the Year doesn't always mean best player of the year, guy who scores the most points. It's the guy you want to put as a face of your league moving forward. And to me, there's no losers here. Ja Morant's an amazing player, and I think it's been an amazing half of year. People had no expectations of this Memphis Grizzlies team being where they are, being in the playoff hunt right now. And I think it goes to show that those lower tier guys in recruiting ranks can come into the NBA and prove people wrong yet again. We've talked about small school guys hitting the NBA rolling, and I love Ja Morant and everything about him. He is one of the most fun passes in the NBA. He's able to get rebounds. He's able to shoot. He's able to score. He's able to take over fourth quarter games. There's nothing I can be disappointed about Ja Morant. It's just I'm preparing myself for the fact that Zion Williamson is as good as promised right now. And if you give me 35 electric games versus 80, well, at this point it'll probably be about 70 to 74 games of Ja Morant being excellent. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough. I think it might come down to the fact that are the Pelicans competing? Are the Memphis Grizzlies competing for a playoff spot?
Yeah, and that's something that, although they have lost 2 straight now and are at 17 and 29, this Pelicans team is still in the playoff hunt. Memphis is above them in the standings, but they just got their doors blown off them in Boston. So they're playing when they play good teams. It doesn't know can they be truly competitive. I want to go to the Twitch chat real quick because they started working in some of the stuff, talking about some of the times they felt the most joy. Demon King, the most joy I felt watching basketball was when Jimmy Butler hit the game-tying shot against the Raptors. Then Kawhi Leonard pissed in my cereal, so that's a good one. King E thinks Zion has missed 2 games, and then Diamond saying Ja will win it, but if Zion keeps this up, I would give it to Zion, and keeping this up, at least for that. And Demon King said Joel Embiid almost won it Rookie of the Year while only playing 31 games.
Know.
Different class. There wasn't a Ja Morant there. It was Malcolm Brogdon and
Dario Saric.
And Dario Saric.
And the fact that his votes were split basically because same fan base.
And Joel Embiid was better.
By the way, the Grizzlies did beat the Pistons tonight. I know it's not on Basketball Reference, but they did win tonight.
But I was just saying, the last game that I remember against a good team,
they got right.
They got the shit kicked in.
The Pistons aren't a good team, so that's fair.
But with that, at least the idea of Zion can win Rookie of the Year if he averages 22 to 25 points and 10 boards. Right now, he's at 18 points, 75% from the field, and then 6.5 boards. while I do think it's very fun to watch him, while I do think that it is very intriguing, if he's not helping this team get to the playoffs, I think that's what's going to need to happen. If he keeps these performances up, I don't expect him to shoot 75% of the field. If he does, I'm also not going to be shocked. But if he shoots 75% of the field, grabs, I think he's probably going to grab more than 6.5 boards per game. So maybe 8.
That's opportunity, though. I think that's one of those situations. You've got Favors, you've got Hayes, you've got a couple other bigs out there, and if he's only playing X minutes, I could see him being around 7 to 8.
All right, so
could he? He's a better rebounder than that, but I think 7 is fine.
If he averages 18-7, he's probably going to average more than 1.5 assists per game. He had 3 and then had 0. So I think we could probably say that he's going to average around 2.5.
How many B words?
The B word is weird, and that's what I want to get to is with blocks is first Ricky.
Yeah.
Before we get into stat line with Zion,
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Zion winning Rookie of the Year. So Dave thinks that it is possible, but a lot of stuff will happen. I think Pelicans need to make the playoffs, and he needs to keep this up. What do you think?
I don't think he needs to make the playoffs. To me, I look at it and I am basing the stat line off of the Karl Anthony Towns year, because that was one where 1, 2, and 3 in the MVP voting, you had Towns, Porzingis, and Jokic. You had 3 bigs at the top of the Rookie of the Year voting. Now, Jokic, I'm going to put to the side because his rookie year, he averaged 10 points, 7 boards, but he was shooting 51% from the field. To me, the 3-point numbers is where it comes in, because just looking off of Cat, where he had the 18, he had the 10 rebounds, he had about a block and a half a game, but he was shooting about 54% from the field and 34% from 3. What is Zion's 3-point percentage going to be? Because if he's shooting 40% from 3, it's kind of hard not to put him in that Rookie of the Year that he should win it.
Well, he's going to be in the conversation no matter what.
No,
I mean the fact that he stepped on a court.
He should be number 1.
If he's shooting 40% from 3, I highly doubt that's why he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Ja's shooting 40%.
Yeah,
what does that mean?
I'm saying the rest of his numbers are going to be there. I feel like he'll have the 18 points. He may not get 10, but he may have 7, 8 rebounds per game.
If he's getting 18, if he's getting 18 points and he's shooting 40% from 3, he's still getting 18 points even if he's not shooting 40% from 3.
Yeah,
so if he's still scoring 18 points per game,
18 is your point.
Yeah, 18 is 18. I think the point number matters rather than the shooting splits. I don't think anyone's going to be like, whoa, now he could shoot threes. He's got to be Rookie of the Year. I think it's got to be impact on the team. So if this team makes the playoff, I think that he's going to be Rookie of the Year.
The only reason I beg to differ is I know it was big to big, but that year, yes, Karl Anthony Towns had about 4 points more per game than Kristaps, but his splits were better. He was shooting 54% from the field compared to 42, and even from 3, 34 compared to 33. I know that's marginal, but he did have the better splits.
And right now, Ja Morant 48, 40, and 80 and he has better. Right now, he doesn't have better splits from the field, but he has and he doesn't have better 3-point percentage. But if you're saying he's at 40, they're going to be both at 40. Ja's going to be averaging 17 and 7 and 4 boards while also playing the entire season. So I think Zion is going to need to eclipse him in some way, and I think that is only going to be by team effect, and that's going to be playoffs. I don't think the split line is going to matter. He could shoot 100% in every single game going on. It doesn't matter, though.
Well, it's also the fact of I feel like if let's say for sake of argument, Zion does shoot 40% from 3.
Sure.
Well, if he's got like 54% from the field, that's better than Ja. And then it comes down to what Dave just threw out before you asked me the question. How many blocks does Zion have? Because if he has about even a block and a half per game, that to me is going to be, you got to put that in as a plus over Ja, because
Ja's got to steal a game, though.
Yeah.
But what would you take? 1 steal per game or a block and a half per game?
Still turnover.
I know. But
I think at the end of the day,
how many steals does Zion have?
I mean, like, steal.
I don't want to argue about stats because I don't think those are come down.
They don't tell the whole story either.
Yeah.
I think Ja Morant's impact on running an entire team as a rookie versus being a good piece on a team that has depth and guys that you can count on, and guys who are already playing at a very high level, in Brandon Ingram, in Drew Holiday, JJ Redick, Derek Favors. You've got established guys on that team playing at a high level versus Ja Morant, who's coming onto a team with no expectations this year, and he's able to get a lot more out of guys like Dylan Brooks, who is having a career year right now. Jaren Jackson Jr., great year. Like he's leading a team.
But is there any time where the guy who didn't win it had better stats than the guy who did win it? Like
yes,
Joel Embiid.
Well, I mean,
played 31 games.
Like we said with that one was also with the, like Dave said, the voting of having 2 Sixers.
But that's because. But the reason why he didn't win it was because 31. He only played 31 games.
That was the
he didn't
that was
have
the answer
a full impact on a team, and that's going to be the biggest downside with Zion is how much of an effect will he have truly on the team.
But did Embiid have as much hype as Zion's going to have?
Yes.
With how he was playing, he was the best player in the NBA.
10, I would say he was a top 10 player.
I mean,
he was so dominant.
I mean, and
it's disgusting.
Honestly, thinking back to that, when Embiid came back that first game, did it have as much hype as Zion had his first game? Because that's going to play in too with Zion. Is how much hype there is around Zion.
If it's a hype award, then it's a hype award, but it's never been a hype award in the history of its existence. I mean, I find me one guy that truly over 82 games won it because of hype. I mean, right now, Zion Williamson is going to blow the shit out of Ja Morant because he plays an extremely efficient game. So, like, can Zion Williamson have a true shooting percentage of, like, 86? Probably not, but I think he can have, like, a true shooting percentage near 70. Right now he has a 36 per. Like, I don't think his advanced numbers are going to kick ass because he's going to have lesser of a role, at least ball handling wise, and he's going to be set up in situations to succeed, and he's going to be playing a very high efficient game of basketball where Ja Morant's going to have turnovers because he's handling the ball so much. He's going to have times where the guys aren't hitting his shots, so he's not going to get as many assists as possible. I think that what we need to look at is the totality of the effect that they have on a team. And if Zion's averaging 18 points and 7 boards and shooting extremely efficient from the field. But Ja Morant's been doing that for 82 games, shooting efficiently for a guard.
Yes.
48%, 40, and 80, while having 18 and 7. Doing that over 82 is going to be more important than 36 or 40 or whatever he's going to end up playing.
I agree with you there. I think that Ja Morant's impact on a team has been so high that it's hard for me to step away from him. I want to buy into the hype of Zion. I love Zion as a player moving forward because he's so fun to watch. And, you have those situations where, between shows, we were talking about, like, that block he just had. Like, a block is more than a block sometimes because it's a momentum swing. Zion with the 17 points, like, in a row. It was just like, this guy's taking over a game. It was insane. But at the same time, Ja Morant's taking over games in fourth quarters. And he's got highlight reel dunks. He's got highlight reel circus passes. Like, I think both of these guys are excellent, but I have to defer to Ja Morant if he finishes out the season the way he started it. And
the one thing I will throw in, I don't know what side of the table this helps, but the one rookie of the year that I'm looking at this is from what fucking year? 2000-2001, where Mike Miller won the award over Kmart. And if you look at the stats, they had about the same in points. They had the same assists. Rebounds went to Kmart 7.4 to 4. But the thing that won it, Kmart also had more steals, more blocks per game than Mike Miller. But it's the shooting splits that really won it because they were around the same, 44 for Kmart, 43 for Mike Miller. But from 3, Mike Miller was shooting 40%, where also Kmart was shooting .09.
What do you think? But Kmart was a power forward.
No, I know.
He was very similar.
I know.
But the biggest thing that came down to, Orlando was in the playoffs. They went 43-39. The Nets sucked. They were 26-56. I think importance to a team is going to matter. And Kenyon Martin also didn't play a full 82. Mike Miller did. And Kenyon Martin was the number 1 overall pick that year.
Recently, like if you look at the recent ones, I think we're moving away from that. Like last year, where were the Mavericks in the playoffs? But Luka still won Rookie of the Year.
That's because his competition.
Look at
it's not making the playoffs. It's
the years that Wiggins and Towns won it. Like the T-Wolves weren't a playoff team.
But it's the stats that are much better. Like you have to look at just the basic
not one
3.
Thing you can point at.
Yeah, if you look at the, we're saying like point wise. Right now, there is no difference between Ja and Zion. It doesn't matter about the splits because they're going to have the same amount of points. You're still scoring 18 points no matter how you're scoring it.
And the question with Zion will be the minutes restriction.
If Zion's grabbing 7 boards, well, Ja's got 7 assists, right? And if right now Ja's grabbing 4 boards, let's just give Zion 3 assists. Going to be very similar. So who's done it longer and who's had more of an effect on a team? That's why again we're just keep getting into a circle. It's going to come down to team success. So if They have very similar basic 3 points, rebounds, and assists, the 3 things that we look at when we're giving out wet boys. If they have very similar of those, I'm going to think team record is going to come down to it. If the Pelicans go, if they lose 10 games in all the games that Zion play in, and they're winning all the other ones, Zion's going to win the award because he's affecting the team in such a massive point. I don't think it matters about the splits. Final thoughts, and then we're going to move on.
The thing I hate about that is, like, for example, tonight, when I don't know how the exact final stats played out, but, like, when I did look at the stats while we were watching the game, Zion's a plus 15, Jackson Hayes is a minus 16. So it's like, why would you penalize a guy because the team lost? And it's like, it's a team. It takes a team to win a game to make a playoffs. It doesn't just take one person unless you're LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You're not wrong about that, but I think you're missing the point is that, like, and it also plays in the minutes restriction. If Zion was also playing more minutes, then you wouldn't have to worry about that because they lost by 5. Zion would have swung that game by 5 points. Again, it's how much is he affecting the team in wins, because right now the other rookie that is putting up 17-7 and 4 that has been doing this is near a 500 team, where Zion's team is not doing that. And that goes back to the Mike Miller thing. Very similar stats for him and Kenyon Martin. One team was 5 games over 500. The other team was one of the worst teams in the league.
I'll also throw this out. Doesn't need to be a huge discussion, but with the Grizzlies too, is with their success, how much is Ja? How much is Triple J? Because Triple J's been balling out this year as well.
Ja Morant's been a better player.
It's not even close. And also the fact that Brandon Ingram's having a career year, putting up 25,
5 and 5.
Yeah,
on stupid splits.
Yeah, I mean you can't
he's gonna
try
be
to discredit Ja
most improved player
from the fact that
I'm just saying
he has a much better teammate.
What?
Brandon Ingram's a much better player than Triple J is.
Yeah. Zion Williamson's teammate is much better than Ja Morant.
And then if you continue going down depth, who's better? Drew Holiday or Dylan Brooks? Is that what we're
Brandon
at?
Clark?
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Jonas
and
Valanciunas?
that's why I'm trying to. I don't think team success plays in. I think it's going to be more the stats and individually what you see from the player.
We moved past individual stats as the decider, and I want to just end on the fact that Ja Morant. I'm saying it. He's my rookie of the year. I called him before the year. I called him during the draft because guess what? Availability.
Yeah.
Look, Zion isn't. You can throw back to Zion can only play 20 minutes a game, but look at his stat line. Well, Zion can only play 20 minutes a game because of the fact that he can't get himself into condition shape, stay healthy.
Not it. It's not it. I think it's the Pelicans putting him on a.
If Zion was healthy, would he be playing 30 minutes a night? If Zion was healthy, would he be playing 82 games? Guess what? Zion's not healthy, so he can't do those things.
Or he wasn't healthy. He wasn't healthy.
He wasn't healthy.
He is healthy now. Just want to clarify.
No, he is healthy. It's just
6'6", 280 doesn't sound healthy to me, but I'm not a doctor.
It's healthy.
But he was also the same size last year and was fine. What injury did he have last year? Played 36 games. He's fine.
Yep. The Pelicans are going to put him on a minutes list because he is their highest asset, and they're going to because he's their highest asset, and they're going to do whatever possible to not have him get hurt this year. Because
so how does that help his case for rookie of the year?
Jesus Christ!
No, I'm just saying, that's why the minutes restriction. I'm not going to hold that against him in the rookie of the year. If the Pelicans put him on 20 minutes, it's what is he doing in that 20 minutes?
I agree with Dave. Availability is the best ability. Ja Morant's been available for more than Zion Williamson has, and if they have similar stats, they're going to come down to availability and record. And I agree with Rob Vick, and it's pretty much what Dave's saying. Let's go, boys, and it's Morant's to lose. Plus, Zion's shot looks super flat, so do expect the threes falling like that all the time. He doesn't expect the threes to be falling like that all the time, but I do agree that it's Morant's to lose. So really, unless Zion starts having stupid performances and this team starts winning more games, the Pelicans, if Zion has an effect on this team like this, I mean, you could even look at it, and they've been closer in games because of Zion, right? He's been a plus in both games. Yep. That has helped. I just think that, again, you could look at it's really comes down to the availability in the playoff thing. If you look at the effect, I think both guys so far have affected their teams positively. It's just how much is that affecting? And I think if you're looking at the Memphis Grizzlies right now, Ja Morant is their best player. Zion Williamson might be their best player. I don't know. It's likely Ingram though. But if you add Zion to that the addition to this Pelicans team, and they start winning more games, that's what's going to possibly elevate them in a playoff race. Final question, and this is what we kept avoiding. Zion as the defender. What are you expecting this year? What have you seen?
As a defender?
Yeah. Because we kept talking about block numbers, steal numbers. Have you seen anything that has been surprising, or
he's a great
is this
help
par
defender.
for the course?
This is par for the course. Like we watched him earlier, the block he had in the game tonight was basically just him being a heads-up defender. He wasn't giving any space to Jokic. He was able to body him completely up on the defensive end, and then he's got his eyes on a swivel. He's looking to help out teammates. If anyone drives, he can close gaps like very few people we've ever seen before. Great leaper, great ability to get his hand up and swat. Like he reads the ball and he reads players' movements. So if he sees cutters, he's gonna go. He's not Mitch Robb, bad at just swatting anybody who jumps. But that's what I want to say. Like he's a good defender. He's a great help defender, and he won't be pushed down on the block.
Yeah,
so,
I think the biggest thing that people were worried about, at least what they saw in the Spurs game, was him versus LaMarcus Aldridge and him in pick and roll help. He did seem a little bit slower on recovering and getting through pick and rolls, and then also closing out and stopping dribble penetration. That was one thing that I think people did see was that off pick and rolls, he wasn't that great of a defender, at least in that Spurs game. What I think I will say is let's give him a little bit more games to fully get his feet underneath him, because I do think that at some point we will see that what we were talking about as him as a defender. He was the best defender in college basketball last year. He didn't lose that ability. He didn't lose his foot speed. He didn't lose his athletic ability, and we saw a little bit of a spurt of that in the game against Denver today, where he closed out from this was Jokic was over here, was guarding Jokic, and he sees Torrey Craig driving, and he pretty much just closes out on that ball and just swats it 10 rows deep. So that was one thing too with at least. With Zion was I didn't love his defensive capabilities, at least against the Spurs, but also I'm willing to chalk that up to the win because it's his first game. Yeah. So those are thoughts on Zion Williamson. Do you think he will win Rookie of the Year? Let us know down in the comments below. We got some great chat going on in Twitch. So again, don't forget to join us.
Answer?
I said no.
I said no. You said I'm guessing yes.
Yeah.
So I think people could probably parse that. I don't think we were being too critical. I think he can.
Usually we end with like, okay, what's the final answer?
Yeah.
So
no. Will he? No. I think we spent enough time on it though. Is you think he will because you think he's going to shoot 40% from three? So
I just think it's amazing. So yeah.
No one's saying he's not amazing.
No, I know. But
don't be a YouTube commenter.
No,
you think he sucks. Zion doesn't suck. I've been watching him since he was born, and this guy has been a great basketball player since the day I've ever seen him. Like, come on. Do you want to talk?
I would like to.
I already stopped, so.
It's not a YouTube comment thing. It's I think he's going to ball out more in the 30-some games he's got to where it's like, wow, look at what he did in this. If he had a whole season, it would have been even better.
Counter argument to that, he didn't have a whole season. And then also you could look at last year. Luka Doncic had a better first half of the season, a much better first half of the season than Trae Young did have in the second half of the season. Luka Doncic won that because if you're looking at these halves of the season, Luka had a better half. Trae had the better second half, but the first half from Luka was better than Trae's second half. Also, Mavs won more games, Hawks lost more games, and if you're comparing the first half of Ja's season to Zion's, it is nothing to everything, and then I don't think Ja's going to fall off too much, and Zion's only got a half a season to work with. So at least the full equation, I think you got to give it to Ja Morant for the games that he will play. But let us know what you think down in the comments below.